Welcome to our Animal Justice Academy Lunchtime Live. I'm Kimberly Carroll. I am the director of AJA, and the topic today is handling the pain of being an animal advocate. So welcome to all you beautiful beings who are here with you live. It means a lot that you join me at the time, and it means a lot to me, those of you who are watching the replay. Not only am I the AJA director, but a lot of you know I'm also a coach for Changemakers. So I've been a coach for 14 years, and I have worked with a lot of animal advocates, including nonprofit leaders, grassroots activists, undercover investigators. I work with folks to strategize around their important work and to do that inner resiliency sort of work to help make you unstoppable. So today, this theme is one of my passions. Oh my goodness, I think it's so important. We're going to workshop some exercises and some tangible tools for working through the emotional pain that inevitably comes up when you're an animal advocate. So let's just start with a show of hands, folks. I just have to, Ariella, your little kitty cat reminds me so much of my Moriarty. Oh my goodness. Oh, they're in the background. Okay. I was like, wow, they're really close to the screen. So show of hands, folks. Do you have any ways currently of processing your pain? So like working through your pain. Do you have any routines? Do you have any tools? Put your hands up if you do. Okay. Okay. Yeah, not so many hands. I see the folks that come to my Changemakers sessions. I'm glad you put up your hands. Thank you. But that is the problem. We are in the middle of a shitstorm as animal advocates, taking on all kinds of pain, and we're not taught what to do with that pain. So what I want to do is I really want to be able to give you tangible, practical things that you can use either every day or at least on the spot when you're really getting aware of how much you're being sort of taken hostage by your pain. Before we get into workshopping the tools, though, I want to get really clear as to why it's so vital to have regular ways to process your pain. So I'll be honest with you, okay? Being an animal advocate, it's important. It's sometimes very rewarding, but it's so bloody hard. Okay, 77 billion land animals killed for food each year, folks. And then add marine life to that, and we're talking in the trillions. It is soul killing. Okay, it's soul killing if we aren't armed with incredible tools. And to add to that, most animal advocates I've met, you're pretty sensitive beings. Okay, you're intuitive. You feel other beings a lot. Like you can really be in their shoes. You're very very sensitive, empathetic, and so that, like, take that sensitive being and put them in the middle of all of this horror, and you're going to get punctured even deeper than most people. So it's a recipe for some disaster. Not only is there the suffering of animals, but there's the hopelessness and frustration of just facing great odds every day and sort of being up against the status quo all the time. There's anger, sometimes even rage at those that are actively standing in the way of change, or even people that are just being, sort of apathetic. And even those that are really close to us. And then, of course, there's folks in our own movement that aren't on the same page as us. And there's like infighting that can really like throw us for a loop, can really pound us into the ground. So also there's guilt and shame that we're not doing enough. There's never enough, it feels like. Some of us, just pure exhaustion is the pain, the weight we're carrying. And then also, on top of being animal advocates, you're humans who, on a good day, it's hard to be a human in this life. Okay, so there's emotional pain of your own circumstances. So it's just a whole lot of pain. In the movement, we talk a lot about compassion fatigue. We talk a lot about infighting. And those are the sort of systemic things that happen when we as advocates are constantly taking in the pain of the world, and we don't know what to do with it. It's natural, folks, to feel a lot of pain with the world and the work we're in. But if you become mired in this pain, it's going to result in chronic anxiety, rage, depression, all of which will demotivate you. It will ultimately knock you off track. You know, you'll lose your focus. And for some, it will make you downright destructive. Okay, it's not a help to the animals. Sometimes when you don't have your pain processed, it can be very damaging to your movement. I want to clarify though, I always get pushback to this part, but but my anger is what fuels me, or I'm so desperate. I work 24/7, and that's, what makes me a good activist. But working from pain solely is not sustainable, folks. Believe me, I have experienced this myself. I have seen hundreds of people firsthand who are come on like gangbusters, and they're full of rage and they're full of desperation, and they are working, and it looks like things are moving, and then they burn out and they're gone forever. So we got maybe 6 months, a year out of them, and they're gone. I'd rather have you take it down a few notches and be with us for 50 years. Because that's how long this is going to be. This is a marathon, folks, not a sprint. And so that adrenaline that we have when we have, like I said, work from a place of rage or desperation, it will eventually burn out. It'll leave you as a shell of yourself, and you will have a raging case of anxiety, of resentment, of burnout, or of illness. And we just can't afford you. There's too few of us in the world, and I cannot let that happen to you folks. Plus, just a little word about anger. Working from a pained place like anger won't create powerful, lasting change for animals. Okay, rage might initially force change in society, but the animosity and the disconnection that happens from people being scared into something and sort of raged into something is that what the pendulum will go one way and eventually it starts to swing back. And I do believe, I like to think about Gandhi's "Be the Change." If you want a compassionate and healthy world, which I think we're all looking for, the kind of world that treats animals like they are equal citizens, that they are deserving of love and protection, and to live their life on their own terms, that is going to require a very enlightened and compassionate type of world. And we need to start cultivating that in ourselves and our relationships right here, right now, and in the way you are in the world. Okay. So we need to be able to work from a very centered, strong, empowered, expansive, and loving place, I believe. Now, I want to get one thing straight. Loving does not mean quiet. It does not mean meek. It does not mean passive. My loving can be loud. It can be in your face, but it doesn't come from a place of hate. It still comes from heart. Okay. Heart can be fierce. It can be ferocious, but it comes from a place like, I love this fucking world so much. I love animals so much. I am going to fight like hell for it. Okay. So I just wanted to make that known, that that's sort of where I'm coming from, because I am not advocating being passive by any means. Sorry about my voice. New York's very loud. I'm loud, but New York's louder than me. Okay. So the thing about pain, and any kind of pain, whether that's grief, sorrow, jealousy, anger. The other thing about pain is you can't push it down or ignore it. Okay, it doesn't work. Denying pain may shield you from feeling really horrible in the moment, but the long-term effects of denying, of distracting yourself from pain, from stuffing it down and putting a smile on your face, the long-term effects of that are debilitating. Chronic anxiety, depression, and like I said, illness for a lot of people ultimately. So the trick is to be able to process your pain on a regular basis, okay? And if you don't know what I mean by process pain, it's to find a deliberate way to face your pain using a structure and then to move through it. All right, so let's talk about some of those structures. I'm just going to check in to see how we're all doing in the chat here. Lots of beautiful things being shared in the chat. Keep going, folks. The sharing really helps, because sometimes as an animal advocate, we feel like we're all alone in this pain, this overwhelming pain. And so it's important for us to know that, no, it's normal, it's natural. And but that doesn't mean we should suffer with it constantly. So, as I mentioned before, this topic is a real passion for me. Finding ways to process pain has really empowered me personally in my work. I have been an activist for, I don't know, 17 years now, and I have had all of these waves. I've had times when I felt very debilitated by the anger, very debilitated by the sorrow and the heaviness of it, or the exhaustion, and to be able to have tools and to have a routine has transformed me and made me able to have so much more capacity as a change maker, as an activist. But I've also seen it transform so many of the folks that I've worked with, and in the process has transformed their initiatives. Because when you know how to be with pain, when you have the resources to be with your pain instead of using all this energy to push it away or throw it onto somebody else, deflect it, or deny it, you're not so scared of doing uncomfortable things. You're not so scared of seeing really bad things, because you have ways to work through it. And that creates a lot of courage. Okay, so that is one of the wonderful side effects of processing pain, is it builds you into a very courageous being. So our first tool for pain processing, and after we talk about tools, I'm also going to talk about boundaries, because we can have all the tools in the world, but we also have to have boundaries. Okay, it doesn't, if we have a mountain of pain falling on us and drowning us every day, we can't use tools. There's not enough tools in the world to help us. Okay, but we'll get to that. Let's talk tools first. So our first tool for pain processing is kind of an obvious one, but it's so important. And that's kind of what we're doing here. We're talking it out. All right. So it is just vital. And I know it's obvious, but we still don't do it enough. It's vital to find beings in your life, and this is the caveat, who you feel safe to be vulnerable with. Okay. Who you can share your pain with without them going, that's weird, or let's toughen up, or what's wrong with you? Think of the animals. Okay. You need people who are not going to think of you as negative or weak. Okay. That are a soft cushion for you to land on. All right. Now, so who are those people in your life? Are there friends? Do you have a community? Maybe you have a great therapist or a coach. Maybe you have a group that gets together regularly. Our Changemaker sessions every second Wednesday is one of those places. Or I know that there's a online meditation group coming out of Winnipeg, I believe. And we're going to be doing the Tashinima virtual retreat next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend. I'm gonna throw this at Kirsten. I'm gonna ask her to put that information in the chat. But where do you have folks? So I want to see you put this in the chat. Okay, if there are any places that you have that, or that you have the potential of that, but you haven't taken advantage of that. Like you've just been holding it in. You're like, I should just be tougher than this. I wouldn't have to share, sort of thing. Is anybody having troubles with Zoom, or is it just Carla? Yeah. Okay, so Jay said, you provide a recipe for dealing with pain that I experience with where we're going with the climate. Yeah, this applies to all kinds of activism, right? Okay, Zoom is all good. Thank you, Patricia. Alexandra said, some close friends and facilitating a vegan Sangha. Amazing, Alexandra. That's so wonderful. I personally have a group that I take part in every week, and I almost never miss it. It's just a beautiful group of animal advocates. And we just get together and meditate, and we talk about, talk on a topic, and we just share some deeper things. And I think we should have little pockets like that all over the place. Marie said, I also go back to nature and reconnect with Mother Earth. Love it. Yeah. I mean, so much of this is about also just practicing good, self-care, self-relationship, so that you are a little bit more resilient to start with. Volunteering at animal sanctuaries between demos, I found my key, Jeremy. So Nisha found her support system. I believe Jeremy is her partner. So there we go. That is perfect. V is talking about a vegan festival in Squamish in BC in June. Okay, put a link in there, V. We'd love to see it. So folks, really give yourself some thought about this, okay, where everybody needs it. Okay, I'm a coach. I coach everyone else on how to work with pain, but I need this just as much as anyone else, and so do you. Okay, so you need to have at least one outlet, and if you don't have an outlet, maybe what we'll do in Animal Justice Academy in the Facebook group is put a post. Kirsten, maybe write this down so we can remember this. We'll put a post up and say, hey, is there anybody that needs like a little bit of a chat buddy around just sort of chatting out some of, the stuff every, once a week or once a month that, they're having trouble processing. So, you've seen people in this group, maybe you've resonated a bit. It's always great to reach out and say, hey, you want to just check in with each other once in a while? All right. So outside help can be amazing and important, but I just do want to hit home that you can process pain on your own. Okay. The trick, though, if you're going to do that, is drawing on tools to give you some structure for doing this. So the simplest tool for processing your pain, the one that is always with you, folks, is your breath. So when you feel like, when you become aware of frustration or fear or sadness or anger coming up really strongly, instead of just like automatically lashing out or stuffing it down with chocolate, how about stopping and breathing bloody well into it? Okay, just giving that pain. It's like this child inside of you that's screaming, listen to me. Giving that a little bit of space to air out. Okay, folks, emotional pain is like a warning system. There's something that needs to be addressed, okay? Something when pain comes up that needs to be listened to and dealt with. And once we've tuned into that pain, it's like the warning system relaxes a bit. Okay, the warning's gone out, my job is done. And once some of that tension is released, we can get into the wisdom of that feeling. Okay, once you get past that really hurty part of pain, you can get into the tenderness of where that roots from. And maybe that part is telling you that you need to be softer with yourself. Maybe that pain is telling you that you need to honor and protect yourself. Maybe that pain is saying that you need to fight like hell right now. Maybe that pain is saying you need support. So I want to give it just a little test run just with the breath, okay? Because again, this is so easy and it's with you always. So I want you, everyone, to think of something in the past week or so that caused you emotional pain. Okay, it could be something in your activism. It could be something you saw. It could be something not even related to activism. It could be something around your personal life. Okay, it might be, again, a particular case of animal suffering that broke your heart. It could be a hurtful exchange you had. It could be stress that you're having around a project. It could be anger or resentment around a colleague or a family member that's just not getting it. It could be pure exhaustion. Okay, so choose something, choose one thing. And just sort of something that you can see yourself in the scenario of. Okay, so maybe it's at your desk, laptop after fighting with somebody on social media and just feeling so deflated, or maybe you see yourself interacting with somebody, or maybe you see yourself taking in this animal suffering. So see yourself there right now. Okay, let's close the eyes. Everyone close the eyes. And let's take in a nice big deep breath. And now I just want you to really see yourself in this scenario that caused you pain, or it might be a regular scenario that causes you pain. And make it as real as possible, okay? Where are you? What are you doing? And really be there. Okay, like look at the floor. What does the floor look like, or the ground look like in this situation? What's around you? Who's around you? How are you holding your body? What's the expression on your face? And now noticing where in the body are you feeling this pain? Pain is a sensation. It's something physiological. So where is it? Is it in the heart? Is it in the gut? Maybe it's in the throat. Maybe it's in the upper stomach. Where is it? And can you like zone in on there? And like, what is it? Is it squeezing? Is it aching? Is it this dull, numb feeling? Is it heavy? Is it hard? Maybe it's burning. Maybe it's nauseous. What is it? And now what I want you to do is I just want you to draw some breath into this area. Okay, just bring, as if you could breathe right into this place and open up a little bit of space in there. Maybe that in-breath is almost like just this soothing breeze. Or if that's a burning sensation, it's like this just fresh water that's just sort of letting everything soothe and sizzle down. Or maybe it's just openness. And at first, when you breathe into it, it just might feel so hard. Oh my God, it might kill you. But keep breathing into it. Just keep thinking about this soothing oxygen going into this place. Maybe opening up this place with your breath. Maybe the breaths start to get deeper and wider. Okay, one more big deep breath in. And then letting go with a big sigh. And coming back to eyes open. So that was only about 5 deep breaths. And sometimes when you try this for the first time, all you feel is pain and it doesn't go anywhere else. But at least that warning system is knowing that you're attending to it. And for some of you, once you started breathing, maybe you felt the sense of just a little bit of softening, a little bit of a dissolving, maybe a little releasing of the tension. Tell me how it felt to you, and like, did it feel like there was like a little bit of a softening or relaxing? Did it feel a little bit more spacious? Yeah. So yeah, how did that feel? So the idea is, if we allow this pain, if you can touch into it and give it some space to be heard and felt, sometimes that pain goes, okay, warning system has been recognized. I can let go a little bit. Okay. And then you can start practicing releasing around it. So how this looks in practical life. Well, as soon as you feel coming on, again, just, you don't have to close your eyes. You could be in the middle of a meeting and you could just start taking some deep breaths. The other thing that you could do is take those deep breaths and then and tune into one of your senses. You could hear something, you could feel the air on your face, so if you can't concentrate on just the breathing, tune into a sense. Another way that you can regularly incorporate breathing into your life is, so Tashi Nima, who was on our last lunchtime live, talked about 10 by 10. So taking 10 times a day, taking 10 deep breaths. And I said, I more do like 5 by 3. So 5 times a day, I take 3 deep breaths. I do meditation in the morning as well. But then through the day, every time that I go and sit down at my desk, from getting up to get a snack or go to the washroom, I take 3 deep breaths just to continually, like, there's always pain. Okay. I'm always like, there's always going to be pain for me. I have, I have an anxiety disorder. So there's always going to be some degree of anxiety that needs to be processed for me. So it's always helpful. And you can stay on top of the pain by, in slow little tiny pieces throughout the day, processing it. It doesn't have to be in all one big fell swoop. All right. Another kind of, like, what we really just did was just a tiny little meditation. We did like a 5 breath meditation. So I do meditation daily. So 20 minutes in the morning. Again, if you're interested in that, I teach some meditation in the Changemaker sessions. Tashi will teach meditation in his weekend retreat next weekend, or it's super simple. You just sit and you breathe. That can be the simplest simplest form of meditation. And some of you do yoga. Yoga is, a moving meditation. So any form of deep breathing can be really helpful. Okay, another really easy tool for facing and releasing pain is, and it's a little bit more active. So for those that the monkey brain is like, oh, I can't even concentrate for 5 breaths, it's called a mind dump. Okay, now I love the mind dump because it can be 3 minutes. I do a mind dump actually every morning as part of my daily practice, but it's a really great on the spot technique. So I want you to grab your paper and pen, and we're just going to try this for 3 minutes. So mind dump. The rules of the mind dump are there really are no rules except keep writing. Okay. You're basically going to put pen to paper and you're just going to start stream of consciousness writing, whatever you're thinking and feeling. Okay. Not just thinking, but feeling. So it can start with, oh my God, like, oh, there's so many things on my to-do list. Oh, I wonder what I'm going to have for lunch today. What's that about that email I got? And you're just everything. And it may come out in a torrent of disjointed things, but that's your head. That's your reality of what's happening right now. You can also be like, oh God, my heart hurts. I don't know what's going on, or I feel so heavy today. I just feel so lonely in this. Whatever you're feeling and thinking, out of your head and onto that page. And that is just a form of not only release, but it's almost a form of checking in with yourself. Of letting yourself know you haven't completely abandoned yourself. And that's really important. Self-relationship and the cultivating of self-relationship, that's a whole nother workshop, but this is just one tiny little way to kind of almost have a little check-in, a little debrief with yourself. It's not like journaling. You're not doing it for posterity. So I don't care about grammar. I don't care about spelling. You can't even read mine. Okay. I have chicken scratch. So nobody, that's probably not chickens are very good writers. So I shouldn't insult chickens that way. I have very bad. I have doctor's writing. So don't worry about that. Just put the pen to paper and go. All right. So grab your pen, grab your paper, and we're going to do 3 minutes. Okay. 3 minutes, go. Just put your pen to paper and start writing whatever you want. Can just be like, oh God, I don't want to do this exercise. Start with that. Don't stop and think. Just keep writing out of you and onto the paper. What are you feeling? All right, folks, wrapping it up. Now that was only 3 minutes. And ultimately, I want you to go on that for as long as you need. Okay. As long as you are still feeling stuff and thinking things, do it. Okay. Usually mine's about 5 minutes. But I sometimes go longer even. And sometimes it's really short. If I'm in the middle of stuff and I just need to find a little bit of let go, I'll just do a really quick thing. I'll just write a few things down, like, heartache or mad as, fuck or whatever it is, and I'll just write that down. And the wonderful thing is, if you have a particularly toxic mind dump that you do, you can take the page and you can rip it up. Okay. Like just rip it up, almost like you're detaching, like you're letting go of some of this stuff. Sometimes it's not going to be angry or sad. Sometimes there's going to be a mix. Sometimes there's going to be really great stuff and really hard stuff. And that's our mind, that's our bodies, that's our experience in life is a mix of everything. And so my mind dump has become really a wonderful thing, because not only do I just sort of vent and share some of the hurts I have, but I also there's almost like a wiser part of me that rises up and writes back to myself. Like I'll write like, I just don't think I can do this, and then I'll be in the next line, I'll be like, no, you can do this. You got all the resources. You can do this. You're just exhausted, things like that. So for now, though, it can be really, yikes, that was a lot of profanity. Sorry, was that me? Sorry, I can swear like a sailor sometimes. And also there is, I'm in Brooklyn right now, and there is music pumping out of cars so loudly. So I hope that's not being too distracting. Oh, Janet said, no, not my writing. Okay, good. Yeah, I'd love to hear how the mind dump was for everyone else. Just looking back, I had a chance to look at some of the chat. And just hearing about how some of you realize that you don't breathe. Okay. Like some of you don't breathe. Like, okay, of course we breathe to stay alive, but shallow breaths. How many of you put your hands up, realize how shallow you're breathing? Yes. That is not good. Okay, that if your I think it's Terry Guimay said, if your fists are clenched and your teeth are clenched and your breath is clenched, your lifespan is probably also clenched. Okay, so yeah, just be careful. Okay, so the mind dump is I hope it was fun or good to get it off the chest. And like I said, you can do something at the end that's even more physical if you want to. Tear it out, crumple it up, put it in the garbage, and just like a signal to the brain, letting go. Okay, so that's sort of bordering on a little bit of physical catharsis, because I'm not asking you to type it, I'm asking you to write it. But I want to get into movement as another form of release. Folks, I am such a believer in using tangible physical release techniques for releasing intense emotional pain. So, I mean, just think about it. Your thoughts become emotions, which are sensations in your body. They're become part of your physiology. It affects your chemistry. So you can't just change your thoughts. You need to change your body. Okay. You need to work on the body, on the physiology level, as well as the mental level. So having physical cathartic exercises, I think, is key, which is basically, okay, so let me explain physical cathartic exercises. It's basically connecting to the physical aspect, okay, the pain, and then physically doing a release, somehow releasing the tension from your body. And it needs to be a form of catharsis that you can do in a safe way, okay, safe for yourself and safe for others. So I've got a lot of tools around this because I believe it's just such an important piece. And I'm just going to take you through a very few of them, okay? The simplest one, I just call it shake it out. Okay, and it can be done anywhere. Anybody can do it. So, folks, how dogs, when they get into a tiff, okay, with a tangle, there's a dust up with another dog and they break up. And then always you're going to see a dog shake it out. Okay, that is their system's way of self-regulating. And we as humans, we are built the same way. We should be doing the same thing, but we don't. We have this dust up and then we absorb it all and we hang on to it. Okay, another way that our animal friends are far more wise and resourceful than us. All right, so I want you to connect, close your eyes again, and I want you to connect to that scenario that we connected to before we did the breathing exercise. So that scenario of pain that you had held in your mind. And again, be in it. Where are you? What's happening? How are you holding your body? Maybe even like, well, let's see expression on your face. Maybe put that expression on your face right here and now. Okay. And now I want you to take a big deep breath right into that pain, right into that sensation. And on the exhale, I want you to shake it out. Okay. Start shaking your shoulders out. Start shaking your hips out. Start shaking your head out. Start shaking the expression on your face out. Even shaking out your lips. Just shaking it all out. And then letting everything go slack. And with your eyes still closed, just feeling that. Maybe just feeling a little bit of a release of tension. I feel like the tension just sort of like leaving my body. It's just sort of like flowing out of my body right now. Okay. And opening your eyes. So yeah, so your shake it out. If you're in a situation where you can't afford to look like you're losing it, your shake it out can be very subtle. It can just be like that, or it can just be with your hands. Okay. But if you can, and if you're home by yourself, or if you can go find a bathroom in a public place where you can close the door, do a full on body shake. It is the best. The more you shake, the more you're going to have a result from it. And again, it is just this sense of telling the brain that it is time to release the tension. Okay. When you shake it out, when a dog shakes it out, they know they're no longer in danger. Okay. And that's why they can shake it out. So by shaking it out, you tell the brain, I am okay. It is time to release the tension. There is no fight or flight needed here. And generally, folks, there's no fight or flight needed. Unless there's a saber-toothed tiger chasing you, there is no need for fight or flight. Okay. And this doesn't just work with anger or frustration. I use this for grief. I use this for exhaustion. Okay. Like feel into that place, that longing, aching place, that burning place, and just shake it. If you guys are peeking, you'll have seen, I was like, okay. I like the Kermit the Frog shake out. So yeah, so I know it seems silly, but if you can do it full out, it is amazing. All right. How did that feel for folks? I'm seeing cold showers. Great. Yeah, teeth clenching is my middle name, Dee Dee. Funny. Yeah, so just I'd love to hear how some of these tools work or don't work for you. If you want to get a little fancier, I also have a tool called the Toxic Fling. So let's give this one a try. Okay, same scenario, close the eyes. Come into that same scenario, and you can never do too much. Like if you've been holding on to something for a while, you can do multiple tools on it just to help it loosen up. So again, feeling and thinking about this scenario, where is it? Where is it in your body? And how does it feel? Okay. And I want you to bring your hands to that place in your body. And I want you to breathe into that pain. Okay. It always has to start with connecting to the pain, like being with it. And now I want you to take your hands and I want you to imagine that pain is like a big, black, coiled, toxic cord. Okay. And I want you to feel like, actually mime this because this is how you get the movement, the actual movement. And I want you to actually feel like you can grab that cord and it's stubborn, it's trying to get away from you, but you're going to grab it and then you're going to pull it and it's coiled and there's a lot in it. And you're going to have to pull and you're going to have to pull and you're going to have to pull. And the more that you work at this, the better. And then when you got it out, I want you to wind up your arms. I want you to wind up and I want you to throw it as far as you can. Okay. Throw it, get it out of you, get it out of this area, out. And then with your eyes still closed, once again, just go into that place of release. Okay, opening the eyes. So again, the more that you can actually, so say it's in your head, like let's say it's here in the heart, you're actually like thinking that you're like pulling something, and then I'm like, the more you put into it, the better, and get it out. It's the movement that works, okay? And it's linking the movement to a release. All right. The mother of movement techniques, I call it the deliberate temper tantrum. Okay, hear me out on this. You know how you can be in a grocery store and a kid's having a tantrum on the floor, and the tears are flying and they're screaming and they're all red and all that sort of thing. And then they just finish and get up and go try to buy a candy bar, like that again is kind of what we all need physiologically. We need to be able to express ourselves, express that pain. Now it's a lot harder for adults because we don't have permission to throw a conniption in our cafeteria or in the middle of a board meeting. But to be able to find a safe space to lose it on a regular basis can be one of the kindest things that you can do for yourself and for the world around you. So again, in a private space, this is next level because it uses music. All right. You will, it doesn't have to use music, but it really can help. So what I recommend is you put on a high octane song, okay? A punk, techno, metal, rap, okay? The more aggressive, the better. And this is especially good for more sort of higher energy pain, like again, anger, frustration. You can use music for some of the other ones like grief, sorrow, but it would have to be a different kind of music. And so you just need some of this music to do, yeah, somebody said maybe some slam dancing. That's exactly what slam dancing was. It was a bunch of young people who felt so disenchanted and they needed to have an outlet, that was safe. Okay, so you put on a high octane song, you tune in to whatever is happening in you, and you just do whatever movement you can to express it. Okay, whatever you need to do. So it can be kicking, it can be punching, you can be getting down on the floor and doing the grocery store floor temper tantrum. It can be writhing, it can be anything. Okay, it can be jumping, it can be, slam dancing with the wall. Don't do that. And so, yeah, anything that really, what you're really trying to do is you're actually trying to rev it up so that it fully has permission to come out and have some space. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's almost as if, say you had a horse sanctuary and a wild, there a horse that you were rescuing that was a bit wild and you needed to fix, help fix their leg or something. If you tried to put them in a stall, this wild horse, they would kick and they would buck and they would destroy the stall. They would probably hurt themselves very badly. But if you can put them in a very wide open sort of corral where they are held and you can help them there, they're going to calm right down. Okay, they just need space. We need space. Okay, this sort of wild sort of pain in us needs some space. So you're not going to get out of here without trying this, folks. So what I want you to do, if you feel extra self-conscious about this, just for this part, you can turn off your camera or you can step to the side of your camera. But I want everybody to get up, okay? Now I can't because I am going to not be on camera because I don't have a desk, but I'm still going to do it, okay? So getting yourself up, and you, again, if you want to turn off your camera, you can, and you're going to come back to me after this. And one more time, I want you, well, maybe we'll do one more. We might do this 2 more times. Okay, so closing your eyes where you are and being able to tune in once again to that scenario that has been bringing you pain. And again, even if it is a softer one, like hopelessness or like sorrow, I just want you to think about the fact that it really has been weighing on you and it's been stopping you from feeling life. Okay. It's been stopping you from doing your most effective, expansive work for animals. Okay. So think about that and just think about this idea of, I want to get this out of me, off of me. All right. And so on the count of three, you're just going to move in whatever way you can. And I'm going to invite you to also make noise, okay? To scream, to yell, to stomp, whatever you want to do, but move, okay? Just think about moving it out of you. Just think about getting it out of you. On the count of 1, 2, and 3, go! Move your body, shake it out. Stop. Do whatever you need to do. Come on. Wait for it. Get it off of you. Get it out of you. Get it out of you. Get it out of your head. Get it out of your heart. Get it out of your hips. Get it out of your hips. Stomp on it. Kick it. Okay, if you turned off your camera, come back because I want to see some disheveled hair. Nice. Yes, yes, and yes. That was great, folks. And I know some of you might not have been able to let go on this first try, but I invite you to try this on your own. Tell me how that felt. Anybody that wants to say in the chat how that felt. Someone was asking me about the music. The song is No Security by Chaos UK. So good old punk band. Alarmed my dog. Feel great or ease. Fun, exhilarating. Yeah. So the amount of energy that it takes to keep this stuff down, folks, it's so much. So when you release it, when you don't have to spend all of that energy keeping it down, the amount of energy that gets released, that gets freed, amazing. Friggin' awesome. Yay. Feeling lighter. It was good. Okay, great. I'm so glad to hear it. Now, if you have a real buildup of an emotion, folks, you might have to pull out the big guns. And that is get a few songs lined up that really amplify the feeling you're caught in, okay? And then just move and dance in that feeling. Just do movement in that feeling until it's had a chance to wear itself out. So I have a rage playlist. I have a hopeless playlist. I have a grief playlist. I have a frustration playlist. I have them all, okay? And that's the thing. Eventually, everything will wear itself out if you give it enough space to run around. All right. And so a really neat little way I like to, a little hack I do around this is I do something called cathartic cardio. Okay, so in the interest of efficiency, you could turn any cardio exercise into a release exercise, an emotional release exercise. So if you do the elliptical, or if you run, or you cycle, or you do fast walking, it's just a great opportunity. You have a playlist, and you choose songs that are going to, like I said, amplify it, and then you run, or you step, or you cycle into that feeling. Okay, you go into it, you let it have its way with you. I used to do this. I'm a runner, so I used to do this almost every time I ran. So I was like, I had a lot on, a lot. And then sort of, I finally sort of got caught up with my processing. And now I only have to do it every once in a while. But yeah, I'll have just like the saddest grief stricken music in my ears. And I'm just running into it, and tears are streaming, but man, it feels good at the end. Okay. And I'm clear, and I can feel clearly, and I can see clearly. It's amazing. Or, I guess somebody said Rage Against the Machine. I have so much Rage Against the Machine on my playlist for the anger part. Okay. So yeah, it's can be very, very therapeutic. Okay. Now I want you to notice that with all these techniques, that it's not just about getting rid of the pain. It's about allowing it to come. It's about feeling into it. Okay, like really being with it, letting it come up to the surface before you, feeling it before you release it. Okay, so you have to feel it before you can release it. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. Okay. So there's no, folks, I've tried to go around pain, under pain, over pain. There's no way past pain, but through pain. Okay. And that's why it's so important to have tools to help you go through pain. Okay. One more. Okay. Yeah. You know what? I have one more tool that I'm going to take you through, but first I want to talk a little bit about boundaries. You can't do a workshop about pain without talking about the importance of boundaries around potential pain. Okay. The things that cause you pain. So generally, and you know, I've talked about this in the past, you cannot immerse yourself in the pain of your animal advocacy 24/7. I know it feels like you should because the animals are having to experience the pain 24/7, but it is not helpful to you, which means it is not helpful to the movement, which means it's not helpful to the animals. Okay. You will just become a wreck. I like to liken it also to the idea that we don't free animals because we want to put them to work doing activism. Like we wouldn't free a pig from a factory farm and go, okay, now the rest of your life, no joy, no space for you. Just get going on saving the rest of your people. We wouldn't do that. We'd say, go run in a field, enjoy a little bit. Okay, now, and then come back and do some work and then go and run in the field a bit. And that's what we have to do as humans. We have to run in the field a bit, or we will not have the endurance to be able to do the hard, extensive stuff we need to do. So choose your projects carefully and have clear parameters around them. If you are just bouncing between every issue, you have no boundaries. Okay. You're going to get worn out. You're going to get overwhelmed, and you're going to come out at the end of the year thinking, I don't know what I accomplished. Okay. So you need to decide, where am I focusing? And we did a great workshop on this in January in our lunchtime live called Building Your Goals, I think. Anyway, it's on our YouTube channel on Animal Justice Academy. So if you're not clear on what your goals are in animal advocacy, do that workshop. It'll really help. And then have some real defined parameters around that goal. So I'm going to do 10 hours a week leafleting, or I'm going to do 3 hours a week of writing a blog, or I'm going to do, it can be, maybe you work in the movement. I'm going to do 40 hours a week, and I'm going to accomplish these tasks. But when that is done, you're done. Okay. Go do what you need to do to be centered and to be healthy. Okay. Do what you need to do. And again, I'm not going to dictate how many hours you should be doing for animal advocacy. Some of us are going to be doing a whole lot of hours. And some of us can't, because maybe you have a full-time job and 3 kids and, and all that sort of thing. And it's going to be, you're just going to have to fit it in where you can. But the point is, don't be death scrolling, do your thing. Even if your thing's social media, do it for half an hour and get off. Okay. Don't death scroll. And that brings me to another thing. We get so much pain and so much trauma from looking at graphic images and just graphic descriptions of animal suffering. And I mean, you're talking to somebody who pores over hours and has poured over hundreds of hours of undercover footage. So I know what it's like. I know how it can just be heavier and heavier on you. It's very important to know how to put boundaries around that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't look at it. For some of us, we need to, and for others, we need to have knowledge or to stay motivated. But what we need to do is we need to be prepared to watch it. Okay. We can't just be slapped upside the head unawares. Okay. You can't just, oh God, I feel so horrible, so I'm just going to go make myself feel more horrible by watching footage. No, you need to take on the hard stuff when you feel grounded, when you have space, and when you can process it. Okay. So I always say to people, if you see some posts on social media, like save them, you can save them, and don't look at them, don't read them, but save them, and choose a time in your week when you come and you watch these things. And before you watch them, ground yourself, take some deep breaths, make sure that you're not rushing off to somewhere. So if you need to cry, or if you need to get angry, if you need to do a shake it off, you can. Do not go into this too vulnerable. Okay. Don't go into this without feeling that you're supported and have some strength in your body and in your mentality. All right. So yeah, you do, because it lands in front of you does not mean you watch it. If you want to watch it, set a time. And even if you have to watch it regularly, set a time in your day, and only that time. Okay. When you feel most anchored, should you do it. Okay, last thing we're going to do, I'm sorry, we're going a little bit over time. I understand if people need to leave, but I really want to take you through a visualization, the kind of visualization you can use that I think can be incredibly powerful as an antidote to the pain of animal suffering. Okay, so this is the last thing we'll do. And I'm going to ask you once again, last time, to connect to this scenario that we spoke of. Okay, this scenario that you have chosen, that is the one that has been weighing on you. I won't necessarily tell you to, don't make it the most traumatizing thing you've ever witnessed. I don't want to re-traumatize you if you're not ready. Sometimes it's best to do that sort of work with, again, somebody like me, or a psychiatrist, a therapist. It's important to do it with some support, but choose something, often somebody will choose an image of an animal suffering that they haven't been able to get out of their head. Some people will choose a being that they've known directly. Some people will choose, it doesn't, it can be many animals. So yeah, let's go with it now. So closing your eyes. And let's take in a nice big centering breath. And let's just roll the shoulders backwards a couple of times just to get into the body. If you haven't already guessed, it's really important to engage your body in all of this work. And now just letting the shoulders relax down. And let's go back to and into this scenario. This scenario with this, actually, I want you to choose a scenario specifically with an animal, okay? I want you to see an animal that's been suffering, again, one that you might have been with at the time, or one that you've seen through video or a description or a photo or a news story. And I know this feels counterintuitive, but I want you to see that. I want you to see that scenario that they're in. And again, we're going to make this as real as possible. I don't want you to just see the animal there, but I want you to be in this space as well. Standing sort of on the sidelines, but still in this space. And so again, let's make it as real as possible. Looking down at the ground or the floor, seeing what's beneath your feet in this place where they're suffering. Looking around you, hearing the sounds, taking in the smells. And now really zeroing in on this animal. This particular animal that has just broken your heart. Becoming really aware of their particular pain or distress or suffering. And keep breathing yourself so you have the space to touch into their pain. So beginning now to breathe right into them and their pain, almost like you can share it with them. Okay, don't resist. As long as you have breath, you have space in which to handle this. And if you haven't already, you can now actually look into that vulnerable one's eyes. Even if you couldn't in the original time you witnessed them, you can now see into their eyes. And if you haven't already, you can now go to them and connect with them in a way that feels right. Okay, even if there was cages, those cages can be gone. You can rip them away, or they melt in front of your eyes. Anything is possible here. And so there is nothing stopping you from being near this being. I mean, it may not feel right to be physically near them. That's okay. If it doesn't, just feel that you can energetically surround them with your love. Okay, or maybe you take them in your arms and you hold them, or just gently place your hand on them to let them know you're here, and they can just feel the warmth of your hand. Or maybe it's about standing in front of them to shield them from something. Or maybe they need to be nourished, fed, watered. Or maybe it's about freeing them. Maybe they're in some sort of intensive confinement that you need to free. But whatever you do it with so much love that you could wrap the whole wide world in your heart. Hold them in a state of so much care. You can murmur comforting words to them. But you're being there, you're witnessing, you're holding their pain. It's healing, it's releasing them from theirs. You can say that you see them and you hear them, and they're not alone in this. If they're close to death, you can tell them you're protecting the space right now, and they can relax and let go. Or you can let them know you are behind them and they can rise up and take action. Whatever you feel needs to happen in this moment. Or you can ask the animal, what do you need right now? And now, in this energetic sanctuary that you've created in your heart, anything is possible. You can magically change the situation altogether. The walls and the roof of this place can blow off and there can just be wide open field. You can let your love mend or transform them or wake them up. Or again, you can feel the force, that force of love between the two of you, free them. Even just to free them into the ether. And as you do that, what's the feeling there? As you somehow free them from this suffering together, what are the feelings that come up? Is it a feeling of play, of relief? Is it an expansive feeling? Is it playful? Is it peaceful? Do you feel powerful? Or does it feel hopeful? Breathe into this as it plays out. And now breathe your heart fully open and pull the energy of this release, of this scene, of this healing, of this sanctuary, and all the feelings that come with it. Pull it deep into your body with your next breaths. Keep that place of sanctuary in your heart and in your gut for every other animal that you come across. And as you feel that, your heart gets bigger and brighter and more relaxed. And you can feel yourself keeping a place of safety or freedom, boundlessness within you for that animal, or they can just feel released again into the sky and the ground, and the leaves and the wind. But now just letting go of yourself, letting go of that tension, letting go of the holding, and coming back to right here, right now, and resting with it. And let's take in a nice big cleansing breath. And letting go with a big exhale. And you might even just give your body just a nice relaxed shake out. And coming back to eyes open. That was a very advanced visualization, folks, but I wanted to give you a feel for it. I'd love to hear what the feeling was when there was sort of a change of the energy, what happened with the animal. Jackie said it's hard to breathe, visualizing the pain danger. Yeah, it is, I know. And so sometimes you need to scale it back, or sometimes you need to go right into the, okay, connecting, healing, freeing, whatever the intention is. Jessica, you're very welcome for that process. Yeah, this is just a sort of visualization that when I'm really, it's hurting and I just am holding so much pain around this animal. And you know, honestly, folks, many of the animals that we see in these pictures, they're gone, they're released. Okay, unfortunately, they represent a lot that aren't. But we can't help those animals if we are so weighted down with pain, if we're so contracted. We just can't. Okay. And so we need to come back to what it is that first brought us to doing this work. And it's the love. It's the wanting to love those animals, wanting them to be free from pain, wanting them to be free to have joy, to have their own lives. Okay. That's what you need to connect to. Okay. Yeah. Lots of folks, lots of tears, lots of release. I'm going to read all of these comments later, folks. So don't you worry. If I haven't had time to read them, I will. We can't change the past situation, folks, but we can change the energy around them. So just reconnect with the love that fuels powerful activism. Okay. Your last action. Choose one constructive release valve to try this week, okay? Talking a heaviness out with a friend, a mind dump, 3 breaths, 5 times a day or 3 times a day, whatever it is, a toxic fling, maybe a deliberate temper tantrum, with or without music. What's it gonna be, folks? What are you gonna do? What's your commitment? Well, you're writing down, because when you write it down, it's more bound to happen. I just want to remind you about the Changemaker sessions. We do this kind of work every second Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Our next one is about persuasion, the power of persuasion. And also, I think Kirsten's going to put a link in to just so that you can just be signed up for the Changemaker sessions generally, and you'll get notice of which each one is coming up. And it's free, and it's just another great time for us to hang out together. And last thing I just want to say, folks, is we love having these events in Animal Justice Academy, which is part of the Animal Justice organization, our national organization. And if you feel that you would like to help with our programming, the Animal Justice Academy and our fight for animals in the law and the courts and in the court of public opinion, please feel free to donate. Kirsten just put that link in there. All right, folks, we will be back for our Animal Justice Lunchtime Live. I will be not in New York. I will be back home in Toronto. And I just so appreciate your beautiful, kind hearts. Please put your cameras on for me so that I can see you. And I'm giving you a big kiss. Thank you for the beautiful work you do, everyone. Thank you for your hearts. Thank you for your fierce love. And we will see you in 2 weeks, all right? Bye-bye, everyone.